Hi everyone, it's Heidi from flutterbyheidi.co.uk, back again with another project for you. And a couple of things on this project. One is I just thought it was so pretty with the butterflies. I did years ago now, probably a couple of years ago, a napkin fold card, which always proves popular. And I've thought there's probably a way to convert it to a box. There are people out there doing boxes. I've kind of taken bits from all sorts of people really, but this one you can see here uses the gorgeous balmy blue and the fabulous butterfly gala butterfly set with the coordinating punch. Love it. You see there it cuts both out at the same time. If you haven't got it already, please visit my shop and pop your order in. 10% off if you order the punch and the stamp set as a bundle, so it's really great from that point of view. Anyway, on to the box. So I wanted something that you could gift some jewellery or something. So when I was first making it, this is what I often do. I make it up in just copy paper. It's fairly thick copy paper, but just to kind of get an idea. So this is the larger version that I did, which is great. You know, it's really spacious, got lots of space for things inside. But I kind of went a bit big for the butterflies that I wanted to use, so I came up with this version. Perfect for little earrings or a bracelet. Pull the top off and open your box, and you'll see here a lovely, really spacious box that you could put all sorts of things in. And as I said, it just kind of reminded me of butterflies with these kind of fold back bits, and it kind of goes back to my roots, which is I used to love making origami boxes as a kid. So I just thought it was just some fun. So it pops in and it holds in place really well actually. And all it is I've put some card on the inside, so that keeps the corners flexible so you can get them in and out. So you can just pop them in like so while it's fairly open, and just push it. I'm making this look really much harder than it actually is. Just push it down and then it holds in place, ready for you to gift. And it also uses lovely free ribbon. So as I've used balmy blue here, which is just one of the colours in the paper that set that this comes in, which is called Butterfly Gala. And here it is. So this is the paper, Gingham Gala. And the lovely thing about this, you can see, is you've got two checks. So on the one side it's a small check, on the other side it's a large check. And you've got all sorts of different colours in here. So you've got Daffodil Delight, Highland Heather, Calypso Coral, Lemon Lime Twist and the Balmy Blue. So lots of variety. Yes, you can create your own check using the Buffalo check stamp, but this is great because it means you've got 6 by 6, gives you a little bit more to work with. Other great thing about this box, the other reason for sizing it the way I did, is because you only need one sheet of A4 card to create this box as well, and that's the top and the bottom. So Lemon Lime Twist it is. Let's crack on with the project. Okay, you're going to need your trimmer. If you've got a scoreboard rather than a trimmer, that works really well for these, especially if you've got the diagonal plate. But as most people seem to have a trimmer, I'm going to use that today. So you have to start off with, you're going to cut on the short edge at 5.5 inches. And then you're going to cut again at 5.5 twice to give you two pieces that are 5.5 by 5.5. Okay. Then you're going to score at 1 3/8 of an inch on all four sides. So if you have a look here, there's your 1, and if you count, so you come to 1 1/4, and it's the one between the 1 1/4 and the 1 1/2 is your 3/8, and you just score on all four sides at 1 3/8, and you're going to do that on both pieces of card. So that one is actually going to be my base, and this one we're going to do some extra scoring once we've done that. So again, 1 3/8. I will have a look at converting this to inches. I have only made it from inches to centimetres. I have only made it in inches. Sometimes things just kind of work better in inches. I know that's helpful for those across the pond as well, and by that I mean those across the Atlantic, my friends in America. So once you've scored it 4 times, mark at 2 3/4 top and bottom, like so, So 2 3/4 lining up here, and just put a little mark. And then you're going to score diagonally between those two sides. So just line up those diagonal those marks and score diagonally. And while you're on that side, you're going to score diagonally between the two 1 3/8 score marks as well. So on each diagonal, score twice. See, I have to think about this a little bit more. Make sure I don't move it. Again. That's what I say, if you've got a diagonal scoring plate, it's great for doing napkin foil cards. I'll pop the link in as well to my napkin foil cards. As I say, it is going back a little while, but the principle is exactly the same. And I did a couple of sizes as well, so an 8x8 one, so you can make it out of A4 card. So you can see here, once we've created that, hopefully, can you see the score lines? There you go. Okay. Hopefully you can see those. And now what you're going to do is actually cut across the middle, but only the middle section. So if you line up your 2 points on either side, and you're just going to cut that very middle section. Okay, turn it once, do exactly the same again, and cut again, like so. Pop that trimmer to one side. We'll just need it for cutting the paper a little bit later, but let's do the box construction first. So bone folder, essential for this. To make our box base, then we just need to reinforce those score lines. Grab some scissors, which I seem to have, just for a change, misplaced. I've got a pair here. And we're going to do standard box making. So we're going to cut up that score line and notch out. This is why I kind of call this pinwheel method, because it's kind of, you cut, you just turn it through a quarter turn and then always cut the right hand section. And the reason I do this is because it means that you've got the same kind of amount of, when I say bulk, on each end. And then I would actually come down and trim this as well, just in half. You don't have to be precise with this bit. Okay, so that's going to be our box base. It's a box, and particularly a box like this that has, I'm going to say, moving parts. I really do like to use a nice red strong adhesive here. If you've got the time, then some wet glue. Our Tombow is fabulous, and it's particularly good when you're putting the inner bit in, because it gives you a bit of wiggle room. But if you're careful using tape, you don't have to be frightened of it. If you're nervous about it, you can always use the red tape with just a dab of Tombow as well on it to give it a bit of wiggle. So take the red tape off. It's getting really dark here, so I suspect that the light isn't brilliant on this video. I do struggle in this room. It hasn't got particularly good natural light, so I'm always working in artificial light. And then, sorry, we're creating a box, so just line up that square edge on each of the 4 corners, and you've got just a nice square box there. Okay, so that's our box base. Then we're on to our lid. So fold and reinforce all of the score lines. I tend to do this stuff, I don't know why, I just do the corners first, really. It's funny, isn't it? We all do things differently. You'll find it just starts to get a little bit more kind of flexible once you start doing those score lines. And before I put it in the box, I'm just going to show you, we're actually going to end up folding these ones back in on themselves. So kind of with all the score lines, reinforce them in both directions. Just make life a little bit easier for you once you're in place. So once you've creased it, flip it over, and what I do is I just put a piece of red tape towards the top, but just underneath very slightly on each of those sections, those sort of triangles that we cut. And the great thing is that these points actually are the depth of the box, so it kind of gives you a bit of a depth gauge when you're putting them in as well. Okay. So while it's flat, it would be a good idea to do the DSP on those corners. So I'm going to cut a piece. Yes, 2 5/8 by 2 5/8, so 2 1/2, and just across slightly, 2 5/8, right, 2 5/8, and then cut that. No, that's not going to be the right one. Oh, perhaps it is. Oh no, that's the bit for the middle. That's the one for the middle. Oh, yes, so that's the piece that's going to go in the middle. We want to then cut the remainder of this strip, which is 2 5/8, into 1 1/4 as well. 1 1/4, 1 1/4, and cut 2 5/8 again, and another piece, another 2 pieces that's 1 1/4 and 1 1/4. So those are 4 pieces for the side decoration, 1 piece for the centre decoration, and I've just realised I haven't written down the measurements for the top ones, so quickly grab my ruler. So they are about, yeah, 1 1/8. So I'm just going to flip that over and cut a piece that's 1 1/8. And cut 2 squares, and then I'm going to cut those in half diagonally. Now because they're so small, it's quite difficult to do on the trimmer, but it's quite easy because they're squares to just come across and cut those in half diagonally, like so. There we go. Which reminds me, I should have put my DSP on the sides of my box before I made it up. Hey! But there we go. Usually, sometimes when you're writing things out, I kind of create first, then write the instructions. So I sort of forget sometimes the order that I did things in. But still, luckily they are just a single piece, so it is quite easy to add those on. It is easier to do it while it's flat. Doing it at this stage before we put the sort of lid section on works pretty well. Okay, so there's our box base. Right, now let's crack on with our little corner pieces. So yeah, just 1 1/8, cut in half diagonally, and you've just got a and I do love the fact that this pattern is a smaller check on the other side. Lends itself really well to projects like this, so you can actually get kind of as if you've used different DSP, but by just using the reverse of the same piece. So that's all the DSP I'm putting on. I'm going to take off my red lining from the inside. And this is sort of the trickiest bit. So what I find, pop the box on its side, and you're just lining that up, the box. Do the same on each one. So just, you see there, and that just lines up with that triangle on the inside. Pop it in like so. There's our box lid. And then to get it to close, you want to bring your 4 points in like so. You see here, and it just kind of squishes together. There you go, just like this, and just fold those points back. And once you've done that a couple of times, it will hold. So I'm just going to pop that paper in there for the moment to hold that in place. There we go. Here you go. And let's get on with our butterflies. So for speed, I have already stamped and punched some of these, but I'm just going to show you the principle that I used in terms of the inking. I stamped my basic butterfly in lemon lime twist, which I think needs a good re-inking. So having done that, I then used my infill, and instead of just using the solid colour, I then came in with a sponge, got a good amount of ink, and I just sponged some blue on the edge, stamped off, and then stamped on the butterfly, thereby getting a little bit of a kind of slightly greenier sort of tint. I haven't actually done that one particularly well. So ink up well with balmy blue, lemon lime twist, and then add the blue afterwards. Stamp off once, and then line that up. And that way you get a bit of shading on the butterfly, which just creates a lovely effect. Punch those out. Oh, I need to put the body on it, like so. And you've got a butterfly. I then punched a second one out in lemon lime twist, and then added those together, as you can see here. And what I'm doing now, you'll need to punch out the small butterflies separately, and the way I do that is just by stamping on the very edge. You can't see that one particularly well, and then just coming in with the punch, and that way you don't waste as much card as well. This butterfly is going to go in the middle of this piece of card, so all I'm going to do is just mark the midpoint about there, just so that I can glue it in place. And for speed, I'm just going to use a glue dot at the top and a glue dot at the bottom, because what I'm going to do is punch a hole through the middle. So I'm going to come in with my hole punch, and this is so that I can thread my ribbon through. And then all you need to do then is thread your ribbon through like so. Which of course is not going to thread. I'm almost running out of time on my video. Just stick it down either side with a bit of red tape. And then if you want to reinforce that, all you do is just put a couple of squares of card underneath, a square of card that will just cover up that ribbon. Punch and layer your butterflies for the corner. Lift those up. Add your butterflies onto the corner, and I've again double layered those just with a bit of like so. And there we have a pretty butterfly box. Piece of card for the inside, about 1 3/4 by 1 3/4 inches. But hopefully you'll agree, we've got a pretty butterfly box. And all you do is just add a couple of layers of card diagonally to the inside to just make that lid that slight bit more robust.